8 rap albums that were never released. Rappers are always on the lookout for inspiration that may lead to their next project. And often when they finally find it, they're so excited by it that they just can't help but share their vision to the world. And with social media making our favorite artists accessible to us nearly constantly, we're able to see their thoughts as fast as they can post them. It's because of this that it's not uncommon for artists to tease their fans with a glimpse of a project that may never fully materialize. Often, these announced projects will generate massive hype, only to disappoint fans when they face extensive delays or become indefinitely shelved. Sometimes these projects are just concepts, but some do exist in varying stages of completion. It's hard to say which is more frustrating, an artist talking baselessly about a project they never really intend to make, or making a project and their fan base never getting to hear it. Regardless, these projects went on to become the stuff of legends, and we're still hoping to hear a few. Before we begin, make sure you like this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now here's 8 rap albums that were never released. Starting at number 8, we have Kid Cudi's Cutter. Kid Cudi has never been afraid to be experimental, even if that means derailing his previous plans for a new artistic vision. After the release of his debut album, Man on the Moon, End of Day, Cudi announced during an interview with Karma Loop TV that his next album would be entitled Cutter. The album was meant to be primarily rap-focused and serve as a sort of compilation album, featuring tracks with a variety of guest features, including Pharrell and Clips. However, despite confirming that he had already recorded a multitude of tracks, Cutter was a short-lived concept. Only a few months after announcing the project, Cudi turned to his blog to announce that he was scrapping the project in favor for Man on the Moon 2: The Legend of Mr. Rager. Cudi, determined to show the world that he was more than the perception that was formed by Man on the Moon 1, admitted he wanted to focus on a more personally revealing project rather than a compilation. Later, Cudi would confirm that Cutter began to feel more like a chore than a passion project, and he scrapped the album before it became frustrating for him to produce. It's unlikely we'll ever see Cutter in the form Cudi originally intended, but with his return to music after a long hiatus, anything is possible. At number 7, we have Drake's album Views from the Six. Though Drake didn't invent the term The Six to refer to his native Toronto, he was definitely the one to popularize it on the world stage. So in 2014, when Billboard announced that Drake's 4th studio album would be called Views from the Six, many fans thought the name implied Drake's return to his moody, introspective aesthetic, anticipating a Take Care Part 2. Instead, Drake surprised the world with his surprise drop of If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, a boastfully aggressive rap mixtape. When the album finally did drop in 2016, it was not Views from the Six, but rather simply called Views. Initially, this seemed like a simple title change, but upon closer inspection, it seems like the two projects might be more different than initially thought. Though Drake had been working on the album since at least 2014, his highly publicized beef with Meek Mill in 2015 is thought to have greatly reshaped the album, with various tracks becoming scrapped and new ones being written. Drake himself confirmed the tape was still being worked on during the release of his Meek Mill diss track, Back to Back. And this is actually the first reference of the album being called only Views. Sadly, there are no track lists to compare how much of Views changed, but many theorize that some of the outros of various Views tracks contain snippets of scrapped songs from Views from the Six. Who knows what vibe the album would have had if not for Drake's beef with Meek. With number 6, we have Mac Miller's Pink Slime album. Before his untimely and tragic passing, Mac Miller was respected by nearly everyone he encountered in the music industry, and known for his prolific output, sometimes spending hundreds of hours in the studio over the course of just a few weeks. As a result, Mac's vault of unreleased music is speculated to be massive, and include multiple nearly finished collaborative projects with other artists. Perhaps the most fabled of all time is his project Pink Slime, a project made by Mac and Pharrell Williams of the Neptunes. The collaboration started in 2012, and publicly resulted in the release of On a Roll and Glow, 2 singles that were meant to publicize the album. However, due to mutually busy schedules, the duo were forced to postpone the album's release in 2013. And while the two did meet back up in 2013 to continue working on the album, the project ultimately was never released. However, despite this, the two continued a healthy working relationship. Pharrell produced Objects in the Mirror from Mac's sophomore solo album, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. Who knows what other projects Mac had hidden in his vaults that we may never know of. At number 5, Dr. Dre's Detox. Detox is perhaps the first and most fabled of the legendary unreleased albums. Detox was first announced in 2002, after an impressive 3-year run by Dre. He had just signed Eminem, producing the chart-topping Slim Shady LP, and then immediately released his album 2001, which would go on to move over 7 million units. Dre touted Detox as his final album, and the hype around it was immense. Dre was reported to be coordinating features with the hottest rappers in the game, from Eminem to Kendrick Lamar to Lil Wayne. However, the project faced continuous delays, being pushed further and further back as Drake became increasingly preoccupied with his Aftermath label imprint. Dre claimed that he had given most of the album's best beats to 50 Cent for Get Rich or Die Tryin'. Despite this, rumors of the album persisted. The fire was stoked by reports from various producers and collaborators talking about the innovative things Dre was trying to create within the studio. In 2010, 8 years after its announcement, Dre confirmed a lead single for the album, Under Pressure, featuring Jay-Z. The track never dropped. Instead, Dre said in 2011 that he would be taking a break from his music for a while. In 2014, it was finally confirmed that Dre's third album would not be Detox, but rather Compton, as a compliment to the NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton. We may never get Detox, but after this long, that may be for the best. It would be a very tall order to match up to the hype. Right at number 4, we have Chance the Rapper and Kanye West's Good Ass Job. Good Job has a history as an unreleased album, initially meant to be a final chapter of West's College Dropout series. But after the death of his mother and a hard breakup, Ye scrapped the concept, instead opting to release 808s and Heartbreak. The album seemed to be stuck in permanent limbo after this point. That is, until Chance the Rapper entered the scene. Though it initially seemed like Chance was bound to be mentored by his friend and collaborator Childish Gambino, he actually found an apprenticeship with Kanye West. And in September of 2018, Chance made waves when he announced that he and West were working on a collaborative project called Good Ass Job. Unfortunately, both artists' schedules were very busy. Chance was beginning to ascend to superstar status, and Kanye was busy with multiple projects: his album Ye, his series of collaborative 7-track albums, and a project that would eventually go on to become Jesus is King. In October of 2018, Chance confirmed that the production of the album had not even started yet, and unfortunately, it never would. 2 years later, both artists are at very different phases of their careers, and considering Kanye claiming he will only make gospel music from this point on, it might be unlikely for fans to ever see the release of Good Ass Job. Number 3, we got Young Thug and Migos' Migo Thuggin'. In early 2015, both Migos and Young Thug were rising to new levels of popularity, but had not yet reached the precipice of superstardom. However, the announcement of a collaborative tape quickly stirred up immense excitement amongst their respective fan bases. The tape was more than just a concept. Several tracks from the tape have leaked, and snippets have been even teased by Young Thug on social media. However, the project never officially saw the light. At the time, neither camp specified the exact reason the tape never made an official release. But most speculation pointed towards the restrictive mentality of Liar Cohen, one of the founders of 300 Entertainment, the label that Thug was signed to. Offset would later confirm this theory in 2016, saying that Liar had blocked the project because it, quote, wasn't the right time. He continued, claiming that Migos had recorded about 30 songs with Young Thug. While Liar Cohen has since departed from 300 Entertainment, it's really unclear if Migos Thuggin' will ever actually be released. But based on the stylistic changes of both parties, the release seems unlikely. At number 2, we have Jay Electronica's Act 2. Jay Electronica's name comes up in discussions about the greatest rappers of all time quite frequently, and the argument always unfolds in basically the same way. Those in defense of Jay cite his incredible lyricism, his debut mixtape Act 1, and his song Exhibit C, which is often considered one of the best pieces of conscious rap ever made. Those criticizing Jay will then point out that since his debut in 2007, the rapper has been basically silent for the past 13 years, releasing only 3 singles and a handful of features to fill the space. In 2020, Jay finally revealed a new project, entitled A Written Testimony, giving these factions something new to discuss. However, for many fans, the album was a disappointment from the day it was announced. not because of its quality, but because it was not the mysterious fabled Act 2. Initially announced way back in 2007, the album faced a series of delays that supposedly pushed it back to 2009. But when the album didn't drop that year either, many wondered if it would ever be released at all. But then, in 2011, Jay confirmed the album was done. In 2012, Jay confirmed the same fact, and even went as far as to tease a track list. But still, the album never came. Jay has remained relatively quiet on why Act 2 never dropped, but speculation from those close to him, including his longtime engineer Mike Chav, sums up two concepts. The pressure to meet the incredibly hyped up standards were too much, and after working on it for so long, Jay just got tired of the album. We may never know the truth, but at least Jay is back to actually releasing music. And finally, the #1 spot goes to Kanye West's Yandhi. Yandhi was the title of Kanye's 9th studio album before it was eventually scrapped and rearranged to become Jesus is King. Featuring a series of high-profile guest features like Tekashi 6ix9ine and Rihanna, the album was supposed to explore Kanye's evolving relationship with religion, while still delivering an accessible, Kanye-style rap album. Announced in September of 2018 at the end of Kanye's 7-track album series, it was supposed to release the same week it was announced, but it never did. Instead, Kim and Kanye continued to push back the release of the album via social media, and Kanye began to live stream his Sunday school sessions, and began to express an increasing interest in dedicating himself to Christianity. In September of 2018, a partially finished Yandhi was leaked to the internet. Around the same time, Kanye was creating Jesus is King, incorporating only small portions of his initial Yandhi material into the album. When Jesus is King released in October of 2019, the track Selah seemed to confirm that Yandhi had been permanently scrapped, with West rapping, "Everybody wanted Yandhi, then Jesus Christ did the laundry." It seems unlikely that the world will ever hear a finished version of Yandhi, and it's unclear whether Kanye will dedicate himself only to religious music from this point on. Do you think any of these albums have a chance at coming out? Which one would you most like to hear? Let me know in the comments section, and before you leave, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel.